And we're at 1,791 days. See if everything is working like it should. Okay. Seems to be working. There we are. Okay, so wow, what a day. What a week, right? What a week. Thank God it's Friday. Well, it's already Saturday here. We're burning the midnight oil. We are absolutely burning the midnight oil on this is June 28th. I have already 2025. And it is 1,791 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room and his life was taken from him because he was the whistleblower. He was the whistleblower that blew that whistle so hard you could hear it everywhere. It echoed. It just echoed. And they just couldn't have this this whistleblower threatened their billion-dollar criminal cartel-tied enterprise right there on the border in El Paso, right there on the border. You know, it's beautiful, beautiful city, El Paso, Texas, absolutely beautiful city, right there on the border, and they could just look at some old postcards and everything, and you can see what trafficking, what this criminal trafficking network has done, the damage that they've done to this beautiful city and to the middle class there, because grabbing a hold of the institutions there, the agencies there, even if they have to fake it. I mean, I think right now the government agencies and institutions are like fakes, aren't they? Fakes. You have the fake judges in the MAG court. They're absolutely fake. They've disenfranchised the voter. They're not following the Texas Constitution. They have no legal claim to their positions. And yet the government there, Veronica Escobar, is allowing them to be paid as fakes, as imposters. Imposters. You have the medical examiner, chief medical examiner, a fake, right? A fake, an imposter. Then you have the DAs, two DAs in a row that are total fakes. No legal claim. No legal claim because they didn't meet the conditions of the installation to that position. You know, you got rules, you got to follow them. And it's called Texas Constitution, right? It's called the Texas Constitution. And if we don't have that, then we have anarchy. Um, now we have two fake, uh, Bill Hicks, the usurper, and James 2028 Montoya. I mean, they're just absolutely, they're fake DAs, fake judges, fake medical examiner. And then you have Manny Chavira, fake chief of police for the El Paso ISD, for the independent schools. He's fake. How can an individual take that position without a peace officer's license, right? And then you get chief of police, and then you go, oh, by the way, I think I need to go to the police academy. Let me go get some training. It doesn't work that way. This was a quid pro quo, and it wasn't a coincidence that he was the EOC for the Walmart mass shooting, with working in conjunction with Jules Chan, and others. So they absolutely have a political agenda, and that's why they fake it. They fake the DAs. And then you have Bob Moore, total fake news, and he's a fake uh, journalist, cashing in on the 501c3, right? Um, because his stories are fake. He manufactures, he fabricates, he creates crimes. He creates crimes to report on crimes. Um, and it is all the evidence is there. I'm not just saying this. I'm not just wishing that it was so. No, we have evidence that confirms that his stories are fake, that he is a political fixer, right? He's just a political fixer. And this is what our media has come to. Our media has become so politicized, right? Weaponized, and you see that over the years. I don't even have to tell anyone that's has been paying attention with half their brain. You can see that the media has been false witnessing, liars, attack dogs, and that Bob Moore of El Paso Matters is the Jefe Chapo, the fixer for El Paso Community Foundation, for controlling um, the narrative there uh, in El Paso, controlling the brains, controlling what you think, hypnotizing you, trying to put squiggly little circles in your eyes, so that that they can control you, that they can control you so that they can get their contracts, so that they can extort from the community, and that they can traffic with impunity, that they can traffic everything, criminal trafficking, everything across that border with impunity. And it's a big money maker, right? But they seem very miserable. This is what I don't get. They do it all for this money, and then they're very miserable. They're very, very miserable. I've been dealing with these people for 5 years. They're so miserable, you know. And they all the money doesn't really is not enough for them. It's the nothing is enough for them. Their relationships, it's not enough for them. They're just like empty pits, and they're never satisfied. They're never content. They can never be happy. And they're very angry. They're very bitter. Um, and they seem to be very medicated, very medicated. They admitted to me that they're medicated, very medicated, and very unhappy. A lot of divorces. I mean, you just see Nadal Baim with this Chavira. They can't get through this little hard time together, even though they've been living with each other for decades. Have they been married for decades? And they have to get a divorce because Western Frontier Trading is suing them. They might be doing it for property, because they're up to no good. If that's why they had to get the divorce, because of warehouses, big properties, because of what they were up to no good, right? And they're definitely totally intertwined with this criminal network, with Manny Chavira, family wise, right? Who is connected to the Mexican cartel. And witnesses are coming out saying they're with the cartel. And so we have this smoking gun, right? The smoking gun, the email that absolutely confirms that Manny Chavira was EOC for the Walmart mass shooting, and which is the emergency operations center, the emergency operations center, which means he worked with Jules Chan very closely, and of course with children, um, because Chan was working there for the emergency intake center, um, where hundreds of thousands of children, um, have gone missing and are now said to be mostly dead. And I shouldn't even say that, but mostly lost their lives. And it was really, now we know from DES Thomas Kane, we know it was a mess. We know it was a mess. And we know that Richard was reporting on this kind of crimes against children. Okay, he was reporting that. And the IG were all over the barracks because of the weapons. He was reporting because of Halliday. He was reporting on the criminal trafficking. And of course, he was in contact with Washington, D.C., because his whistleblowing, was heard all the way to Washington, D.C. He was in communication with FBI Houston, which is the child trafficking unit, and of course CID, and um, eh, so he was very well, he watched every kind of private investigator, detective, policing show that is possible. Um, and so he absolutely had a journal. He was used to having a journal. His father does journaling. That's just who we are. And so, he was really a threat to this criminal group. Um, Billions of dollars. We're not talking about small little potatoes. We're talking about an open checkbook, right? An open checkbook. We're talking about uh, all kinds, all kinds of grand theft larceny, all kinds. Legalized theft, you can say, because then they manipulate the government to legalize their theft, to you know, uh, conduct their engage in their crimes with impunity. And you see that they've wanted to. I was just watching Tucker Carlson this morning. Um, Interview the lady about Minnesota from Minneapolis, because of the crimes that were committed up there recently, and of course Representative Veronica Escobar responded to that, and so I wanted to know what that was about, and I wanted, of course I read the news, but it's always good to hear an interview of it being done. And it's heartbreaking what has happened in Minneapolis. It's kind of like what's happened in El Paso. I mean, they've lost 40% of their police force in 5 years. 40% of it. I mean, can you imagine? Yeah, it's it's crazy that interview. You should check it out. But it talks about um, this this person that was um, uh, shooting for political individuals, right? So I was listening to that, and still have to sleep on that one, um, because of all the misinformation, right? So this smoking gun about Chavira is very important, and we absolutely yesterday received the confirmation about the tunnels, and that in the El Paso ISD under schools, and I think the Guillen Elementary School is one that came up as having tunnels underneath it. Now, that is for, law enforcement to go and check it out. But who are you going to call? Manny Chavira? Are you going to call Manny Chavira, who is fake, who's a fake chief of police? And, from what I hear, um, he absolutely knew because of his assistant fire chief position. He knew about these buildings. Um, yeah, it's I know through my father. I know, so this is years and years ago, in the 70s, right? That there were tunnels all over underneath El Paso and Fort Bliss, all over. Okay, lots of them, and that they absolutely went to Juarez. It's nothing that was hidden back then. Now it seems to be a little bit more hush hush, and oh, we have to investigate. Well, at that time it was known. It was all known. Um, I guess by my dad, maybe because of his position. I don't know, or who he heard it from, or I just knew that there were tunnels all over, and you can see it kind. If you look, if you look from Google Earth, and you take a really close look at El Paso, you can even see them. You can see them because there's a grid, and you can look at old maps, and you can see that El Paso was a grid. So they're it's an ancient city. Um, and of course, it was connected to once upon a time to Juarez, Mexico, and it's still connected. It's still connected because those tunnels are there, and it's nothing new. There's tunnels underneath so many cities. Look at Paris, and um, uh, you know, I've been to so many cities where tunnels ran all over the place, all over the place. So it's nothing like shocking, you know. And I'm sure like Mexico City has tunnels all over. It's just Rome has tunnels all over, right? Um, so, you can just list them off. You can probably do a Google search. Which big cities have tunnels? It's just a known thing. So it's not anything that I'm grabbing out of the air. It's just a known fact, a known fact. And so, but it's very concerning if they use those tunnels, if they are hushing it up so that people don't know about them, but yet privileged traffickers know about them. It's like we'll use them to traffic all kinds of things from humans to, of course, adults and children and guns and ammunition and all kinds of substances. Then it matters, and it needs to be transparent that we have those tunnels and that they need to be guarded or they need to be closed up. And I know that there's stories about different earthquakes that maybe they blew some of those tunnels up. I mean, that's out there. I found that online. Um, but what the population needs to know is that those tunnels exist and they need to be it needs to be transparent, and they need to be guarded. They need to be guarded because criminal trafficking ruins people, absolutely ruins communities, and ruins the middle class, and it doesn't make anyone happy. People just don't look happy. They just don't. They're just very. Um, and I'm talking about this elite class. They just seem to be up to no good and very miserable. And so letting them have all this money, it doesn't do them any good either, right? It just doesn't do them any good. And they need to earn and I'm not against them having a lot of money. They just need to earn it the honest way, the honest way. If they want to be rich, they need to do it the honest way, not through criminal trafficking and all these contracts that they go way over budget, um and this legalized theft, this grand theft larceny, you know it just is ruinous. It's just really ruinous, and it causes major crimes like what happened to my son. Major crimes. So and it dirties up. We know that it compromised four-star generals, it compromised flag officers, it compromised um, the mag court, it compromised the DA's office, it compromised the federal courthouse. Think about the Mayellas; they're so compromised, right? So, and so there's a lot of compromised lawyers, and of course, in Kemp Smith, that is uh, a law firm that is well respected in El Paso called Kemp Smith. Um, and we know a lot about Kemp Smith in our family because of everything that has gone on, that's popped up. And of course, we've um, we're Well, this is all legal, right? We're trying to get accountability legally. So we know a lot about Kim Smith. And Kim Smith now is they're not, they had all the perception of being respectable, but with none of it. With quite the opposite. They're not respectable at all. And so one of the lawyers were um, uh, caught today, lost their license. Let me tell you, if the Texas, I'm thinking, why would the Texas bar take away his law license? That's huge, y'all. That is really huge. Um, so things are really. I think this is a case of poison pawns. I think this is a case of, and of course, then today, an article came out mentioning Julio Cordero and poison pawns and the El Paso ISD and shady business that these elites get caught, that the elites get caught. And that was an amazing article. And poison pawns are about the leadership. That is, if they're not imposters or traitors, they're traitors and they're into shady business like criminal trafficking and LLCs, a lot of money stuff, right? And so we saw that with the New York journalists, right? That, um, here he is reporting on the worst crimes against children. Wow. Sorry, it's so emotional. Where he is himself engaged in the worst type of criminal crimes against children, and you have in El Paso the likes of Leilani Hart and her household, that she admits that their household is engaged in the worst type of crimes against children, and then in possession of the films of the worst type of crimes against children. Um, so that was uh, it was really good to see that a journalist would be held accountable, because we're really um, uh, waiting for the day that Bob Moore is held accountable for all of his dirty schemes, because you have to understand he's a co-conspirator. He's not a journalist. He's a co-conspirator, and he targeted Richard. That has to be made very clear, because he's connected to ANR Chavira. He's connected to Manny Chavira. He's connected to Nadal Baim and Bradford Bugado. He's connected to the Walmart mass shooting orchestration. He's connected to Jules Chan. He's connected. That's why he's kind of advocating for FitFam El Paso. He's connected to Jules Chan. He's connected to Danae Katzen and Jonathan Ambrose. And he's connected to this Dallas Hart, Leilani Hart, as co-conspirators to target Richard, because he gets his pay from not only El Paso Community Foundation, which is his parent company, but a big chunk of money from every month from Texas Tech University Health Science Center, um, which, is where Alexis Mayella is doing her fellowship with Melissa Mendez, the wife of the FBI agent George Toros, who said he investigated uh, in a lie, which is a crime, because he never did investigate. Um, you know, this it all these different plots. If you've ever read Dickens is masterful at this. um and I think more modern terms, I'll pick out a disaster flick called 2012, um which was masterfully done. um but what it is you have a story, right? But the story involves many different plots, right? And all those plots seem to be separated from each other. But as the story goes, you realize that they're all connected, they're all interwoven. And, Dickens does that really well in Bleak House and Little Dorrit. Little Dorrit is just masterful. Bleak House is too. And then, of course, modern day for a film, you can see that in 2012 they came up with another kind of disaster flick that was kind of like it. I think it was called the oh, it was about California, that earthquake. Anyway, it'll come to me. Uh, but that was it only had one plot, right? One plot, one storyline, one family, and it was boring. When you look at 2012, it had all these different plots and it all kind of came together, it all intertwined. It was just, and um, and that's how Little Dorrit is. Sometimes with Little Dorrit, you have to read it over and over again, or you have to. There is a series that you can watch that's really well done, and you have to watch it over and over again to understand each plot. So these are the things um, that have helped us to understand what's going on in Richard's case, because Richard's case is all of these plots. You have the Danae Katzen, Rosa Maria, David Candelera, then you have the Jules Chan, the military medical guy that's behind FitFam El Paso with his brother, who's human resources, absolutely has access um, to top secret information, to files and everything like that. And they're even saying it in their anonymous articles about them, where they stay anonymous, but they say they have access, right? And they're using that with FitFam El Paso, which is so illegal. And then you have, of course, um, the judicial system, the Mayellas, um, that are in the DA's office and in the married to Patrick Crucius, and in the federal courthouse, and in the FBI, and in Walmart's cybersecurity, and then you have this whole FBI, Nadal Baim, Chavira with Bob Moore. Bob Moore seems to be like what connects them all, So you have all these plots. Of course, you have the generals. You have the generals plot. Of course, a very political. Um, and so they seem to be disconnected. They seem to be so many, but it really is just uh, one motive, one story that comes in, and it is to protect, like the deep state, to protect the criminal trafficking, and all that comes with that, with the contracts and the money laundering and that. So they're protecting their control over the narrative is absolutely number one. They have to control the narrative, because they have to blind you so that they can continue to live this very criminal life, right? And to suck on the system, to absolutely extort the system. And, so that's why they have to blind you, so you can be walking with your eyes wide open, but you're not seeing what's going on, because they're controlling the ISDs, they're controlling the information that's coming in to you. It's really like a hypnosis, right? And so, and why did God help us? Well, we've been in Europe for so long. We've been out of a certain kind of hypnosis, right? I mean, we're not immune to it. And of course, being in Ireland, where we're very insulated from a lot of the narratives, and not really watching TV, and just working very, very hard, traveling and things like that. Not isolated, but insulated from the hypnosis beams, right? And Richard got there and he's like, "Wait a minute, this is wrong. The emperor has no clothes. You can't criminal traffic and where are you taking our weapons? Where are you taking our oil? Where are you taking our where are you taking these children?" You know, and then saying no accountability. And so he um, absolutely blew the whistle. Okay. He absolutely blew the whistle. It's confirmed. It's confirmed. And then you have the likes of Bob Moore that tries to pull the wool over everyone's eyes with deception, deceptive practices like an A&R Chavira that has to do with Richard's car, um, which we're working very, very hard to get answers for. Okay, Richard's car, we're working very hard. Um, and, a lot of deceptive practices and all that. Same with his phone. Same with his phone. Um, so it's they have a lot of their fake and imposters in these positions. They even have people that got there legitimately um, into those positions and are up to no good and are up to no good. And they're, so this has been really miraculous that we have gotten this far so quickly. You think, oh, 5 years, but we have what has been accomplished is amazing, is totally amazing. And I think we'd make Julio Cordero proud, right? Make Richard Halliday proud. I mean, the poison pawns. This is what this is. Poison meaning corrupt pawns, those that move on the chessboard, those that move us, and they've been corrupted. And they're supposed to be law enforcement. They're supposed to be judges. They're supposed to be medical examiners. They're supposed to be obligated to the Texas Constitution, have a responsibility to the people, the voters, and also for the law, the DA, and but they've become poison pawns. That's what Julio Cordero was exposing, the poison pawns, right? And he had a lot of people arrested. Um, so, it just takes a few very brave people like Richard, like Julio, um, uh, to whistleblow, to do the right thing, and and you know, uh, I know they pay. Richard paid the ultimate price. Julio Cordero paid the ultimate price. Um, but I think that you can hear the whistle still blowing. Matter of fact, I know it. You can hear the whistle still blowing. And you can see it with the articles right now with Chem Smith losing their prestige. Chem Smith has lost their prestige. The El Paso Magistrate Court has lost their prestige. The DA's office has lost their prestige. The chief medical examiner has lost their prestige. Um, Fort Bliss, the military, have lost their prestige. The generals have lost their prestige, and President Trump is working very, very hard to hold the downward motion for the military. He really is. He is doing whatever he can to lift them back up, and so we're very, very supportive of him because that can't be good, right? That can't be good. We want to be successful with our military and with our judges and our prosecutors, and so we need to have accountability. They need to be held accountable for the crimes that they've committed, the individuals that have done this, and get answers for what they did with Richard's body. But at the same time, um, you know, um, yeah, I just lost my train of thought. Um, because whenever I say Richard's body, a big right there, right there, because I know what they did. And so, you just lose your train of thought. Um, and we know we have to get accountability. That's and all of these, the journalists, the billionaires, the millionaires, the generals that have lost their prestige, they have to be held accountable. That's what it is. And that's what I think today's message is. Um, I think even with the Supreme Court, they had to save their prestige. Um, and that's why they voted like they did today. Um, So, because there's people on that Supreme Court that they're up to no good, but I think they're understanding that they're losing their prestige, they're losing their respect, and that they need to do the right thing. That's why I love that military parade, because it allowed us to audit our military. We got to check them out. They're our military. We pay for them, and let's see it. Let's see what you got. And it is a oversight. It's an oversight of the leadership too, and I think that it will restrain a lot of evil, a lot of evil. So we need to have a lot of those parades, y'all, to restrain the weaponization of our military. Um, Absolutely, because and we need to have accountability for all the weaponization that has occurred to cover up, to target Richard, and to cover it up and then cover up the cover up, and all the intimidation, the witness intimidation, the threats, the harassment, the tampering with files and timestamps and everything evil that they did. They need to be held accountable. So I think us talking about the tunnels that are underneath the schools, underneath El Paso, underneath Fort Bliss, is very, very important for that also, um, because that will help scrutinize those tunnels instead of keeping them a secret, so that they could traffic, so that the traffickers can know about them and traffic. So thank you so much. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on so late. I mean, look at it. It's 1 o'clock here. So I am going to tell you we're being contacted. Today was a really busy day because of the institutional support, the addressing those that are calling us, um, and these new investigations. There's a lot of ongoing and active investigations, and some new ones are now starting also. So that's important information. And with all of that, that has to be addressed. So it's been a very, very good day, very good day, and I think a very good week. Um, Accountability's in the air, justice is in the air, and I think that we, with the economy like it is, with the peace deals, look at Somalia with Congo today. That was huge. That was so big. Thank God they've been at war for years and years. I think that President Trump should just be, well, he's a blessed are the peacemakers, whether you get an award or not. Even though I'm all for um, thanking people for thinking about Richard getting the Purple Heart. I'm all for the awards. I think President Trump should absolutely get an award. Blessed are the peace. I mean, that was just amazing. So, but he's only just beginning, right? He's only just beginning. He hasn't even been in office for that long. So, yeah, let's see what else we can win out, right? Let's see what else we can win out. So it's we're getting a lot of good feedback, and a lot of things happening behind the scenes. And I just want to say thank you to everybody, and please share about the tunnels. They need to be scrutinized, especially underneath our schools. Can you imagine? I just can't even imagine. And all of these fake positions of fake people doing these jobs that are really very important. Prosecutors are important, judges are important, chief of police is very important, medical examiner is very important. Um, Telling true factual stories in the media is very important. And what El Paso has is all fake. It's all fake and a false witness. And so it needs to be scrutinized. You do that by whistleblowing. You have to call them out legally, peacefully, with dignity, with respect, and that's how we get this done. Thank you so much.